On the day of my wedding, I was kidnapped. When I opened my eyes again, I discovered it was my adopted younger sister who had abducted me. Her eyes red, clutching a syringe, she knelt devoutly before me. Brother, you promised we'd be together forever. How could you abandon me? Asterisk, beep, beep, beep. A trace of human consciousness detected. Asterisk. A mechanical announcement echoed in my ears as I slowly regained awareness. My vision focused on a wall plastered with photographs of me drinking water, me reading a book, even me showering. I struggled to move my limbs, panic rising as I realized I was bound, still clad in my wedding suit. What happened? Wasn't I supposed to be on the wedding procession car? My last memory was helping my fiancée Song Ying into the wedding vehicle. The cheerful blessings from friends and family still seemed to linger in the air. Yet now, I was a hostage. I wrestled with the ropes binding my wrists, but the futile effort only scraped my skin raw. Suddenly, footsteps sounded outside the door. The sound of high heels clashing against the floor was sharp and crisp. Cold sweat trickled down my cheeks into my chest, causing a slight itch. Just as I was debating whether to keep pretending to be unconscious, my pupils involuntarily contracted at the sight of the person entering the room. Jiwon, my adopted sister. Jiwon was taken in by me. It was a rainy night when I pitied the girl curled up by the garbage bin and asked the driver to bring her home. The Ji family could afford to raise another child. Since then, she became my adopted sister. Seeing me awake, a smile bloomed across her face. Surprise. Did you like Awan's wedding gift, brother? I was struck speechless with shock. Jiwon walked over, kneeling down to meet my eye level. She was still wearing the bridesmaid dress I chose together with Yinin. Brother, didn't you promise we'd never be apart? Then why marry Songyin? Awan is so heartbroken. I swallowed hard, staring at Jiwon, who was nothing like her usual obedient self, forced myself to calm down, forcing a stiff smile. Hey, Awan, what's wrong? We're family. We've never been separated. Is there some misunderstanding? Let go first. Talk properly with brother, okay? The girl lowered her head slightly, her eyelashes fluttering as if contemplating my words. Just as I wanted to say more to stabilize her, Jiwon suddenly snapped. She grabbed my knees with both hands, looking up at me with an eerie smile. Does brother want Awan to let you go, so you can attend the wedding? But Awan doesn't want that. Awan wants brother to stay with me forever. I desperately tried to shrink back as she produced a syringe, but the chair beneath me blocked my retreat. Jiwon, don't. The liquid in the syringe pierced my knee. The pain quickly engulfed my entire body. Jiwon watched my agonized state with a deeply satisfied smile. Her hand reached up to my cheek, brushing away the sweat-drenched strands of hair. Brother, today is our wedding. I couldn't hold back anymore and glared at her with disgust. Jiwon, you lunatic. I'm your brother. Song Yin is my fiancé. Take your filthy hands off me. Don't touch me. At the mention of Song Yin's name, Jiwon's smile vanished completely. My chin was seized in her grip. But what's to be done? That useless Song Yin can't seem to find you. Now brother belongs to me. With those words, she viciously bit my lip, the metallic taste of blood flooding our mouths almost immediately. As air was stolen from my lungs, darkness crept at the edges of my vision. She released me just as I was about to lose consciousness. It's been long enough. The medicine should be taking effect now. She patted my knee condescendingly. Horror gripped me as I realized I couldn't feel my knees. No, more accurately, my lower body had gone completely numb. Jiwon, what have you done? This is illegal. Jiwon looked at my impotent rage and feigned an innocent expression. Brother, Awan hasn't done anything wrong. Didn't you say you wanted to be with Awan forever? She bent down and pulled me into her embrace. Brother, don't be afraid. From now on, Awan will be your legs and take you anywhere. Rustling sounds followed as the ropes were untied. I pushed the person in front of me with all my strength, but inertia sent me crashing to the ground along with the chair. Brother, why must you do this? Jiwon sighed, loosened the ropes around my ankles, and suddenly lifted me into her arms. That suit brother is wearing looks so irritating. While speaking, she carried me out of the room. Only then did I see the full layout of the house. It was a villa, a festively decorated home. She kicked open a door adorned with a double happiness character. My vision flooded with red. It was celebratory, yet goosebumps erupted all over my body. The wedding photo of Jiwon and me was placed in the center of the room. Since it was photoshopped, my smile in the picture looked ghastly. Jiwon. I was thrown onto the bed. The longan and peanuts beneath me dug into my back painfully. Today is our wedding day. Brother shouldn't be wearing these clothes. Jiwon pulled out scissors from somewhere. I tried to crawl away using my arms, but it was futile. With my lower body numb, I was no match for her, even as a grown man. Soon, my clothes were shredded, leaving me lying naked and humiliated on the bed. Brother's blushing face is so adorable. I really want to. But the ceremony hasn't started yet. She pulled a black suit from the wardrobe. One I remembered she designed herself. She drays. said me in the suit, then put on her wedding gown in front of me. Lifting me onto a pre-prepared wheelchair, she pushed me out of the room. We took the elevator down to the grand hall. The living room had been transformed into a fantasy scene. I remember when Song In and I were selecting wedding layout plans. Ji-won walked over and pointed at one of them saying, "This one looks good." At the time, I smiled and said she had excellent taste, mentioning we'd use that layout for her wedding next time. Ji-won just gave me a meaningful look. Little did I know she had been planning to kidnap me since then. I followed through the wedding procedures with her manipulation. Thus concluded this wedding with just the two of us. Ji-won wheeled me back to the room. After everything that had happened, my emotions had long settled. Now I needed to get Ji-won away and find a way to escape. Just as Ji-won bent down to carry me to the bed, I spoke up. "I'm hungry." She straightened up, studying me with an ambiguous half-smile. My heartbeat gradually quickened under her gaze. After a moment, she turned away. I secretly sighed in relief. Only to hear a click. Ji-won was simply locking the door. She returned to my side and bent to lift me. With a suggestive breath against my ear, she whispered, I'm hungry too, Gidge." The next second, I was thrown onto the bed. Then Ji-won's body pressed down on me. Soft, scorching. This time I pushed her away. "Ji-won." She straightened up, looking down at me. "Big brother is so strong. If you weren't rejecting Alwan would really like this." I watched her open the bedside drawer and suddenly felt uneasy. Moments later, my cheeks were brutally pinched again as a pill was forced into my mouth. The burning heat quickly spread. Ji-won had many ways to make me obey. I gradually transitioned from cursing and resisting to becoming submissive. She thought I had truly given up escaping and accepted living with her. But I never abandoned my plan to escape. Over a month, I'd completely convinced Ji-won to trust me. From initially being allowed no television, to now being able to use her modified phone. I thought the timing was finally right. Today, she pinned me to the bed. Suppressing my discomfort, I feigned compliance. "I don't want to be on the bottom." Ji-won's motion of biting my ear paused. I continued in a somewhat humiliated voice. "It's been a month like this." She raised her head, locking eyes with me. In her pupils, I saw my own reflection, filled with desire yet tinged with shame. "If that's the case, we'll temporarily stop the injections." To control me, Ji-won had been injecting my knees every 3 days to ensure I remained immobilized. True, it's humiliating for Gidge to always be beneath me. "Since you've been obedient lately, we'll pause T. He medication for now. After all, A1 also wants Gidge to take the initiative. But tonight, you'll have to endure a little longer, okay?" After saying this, her moist lips brushed against my neck. I closed my eyes, telling myself to endure a little more. Ji-won kept her promise. She truly stopped the injections. I felt my legs gradually regaining sensation, then the ability to walk. I didn't rush to escape. After all, Ji-won would still test me. Another month passed, and I thought Ji-won was fully convinced that I wouldn't leave anymore. After all, she even allowed me to stroll around the villa now. Ji-won left for 1 day every month's end. As usual on this day, Ji-won kissed the corner of my lips. "Big brother will have to stay alone in the villa again today. Be good, okay?" I returned her kiss. "Alwan, come back early." My dependent attitude pleased Ji-won, so she gave me the keys as a reward for being allowed to explore around the villa today. She left decisively. Clutching the keys, my heart grew heavy. Was this a test or an opportunity? I chose to take the gamble. The villa was extremely remote. I walked a long distance without seeing a single household. When I finally spotted a female police officer in uniform on the road, hope suddenly surged in me. But it was immediately followed by wariness. A police officer in this wilderness? Observing carefully, there seemed to have been a car accident. A vehicle had crashed into a roadside tree, and the policewoman was handling the situation. I clenched my teeth and rushed over to grab the police officer's hand. "Hello, I need to report a crime. Can you help me get out of here?" I saw astonishment flash in the officer's eyes, but soon, that surprise was replaced by amusement. A sense of foreboding rose in my chest. It was too late to pull back my hand. My wrist was firmly grasped by the police officer before me. A honeyed voice with laughter carried over. "Why should I help you?" "Why, help me." The female officer slowly removed her uniform. "It's fake. Sorry to trick a little bunny like you." Her strength was overwhelming. I couldn't break free as she pulled me into her embrace and tightly restrained me. "Did you know? The drug was my gift to Ji-won. Seems she hasn't trained you properly yet." The woman's breath brushed against my neck, raising goosebumps. "Ji-won." My eyes widened. "Looks like the bunny figured it out. She's over there." She turned me around with her grip. The car that crashed into the tree slowly rolled down its window, revealing that familiar face. Ji-won. They're in cahoots. No way, absolutely can't be taken back. With fierce determination in my eyes, I prepared to slash at the hand gripping me with the glass shard I'd kept for self-defense. But the opponent dodged, and the next instant, a sharp pain pierced my NEC. "K." The woman effortlessly injected a needle into my flesh. Before losing consciousness, I saw Ji-won's darkened face. When I woke again, I was locked in a cage. A cage forged from gold. An opulent cage designed specifically to imprison me. My legs had lost sensation again. Iron chains now clasped around my ankles. Beneath me lay a plush fur carpet, and my clothes had been changed. I dared not imagine what punishments awaited me next. As these thoughts swirled, the door opened. Looking up in surprise, I saw the policewoman enter. Her crimson dress accentuated every curve of her figure. I averted my gaze, refusing to look at her. Tick-tock, the cage door opened. She took off her high heels and stepped inside, stopping in front of me. Then, my chin was lifted. You're quite good-looking. No wonder Ji-won likes you. Even I'm a bit tempted. The friction on my chin made me uncomfortable. I frowned and pulled away. Feisty. That makes me even more attracted. I opened my mouth, but before I could say anything, rapid footsteps suddenly approached. Ji-won stormed in wearing high heels, her face filled with anger. Joey, stay away from him. She warned the woman in front of me. Joey shrugged, stood up, and walked out, stopping before Ji-won. Don't be mad. I was just checking out the little bunny you've hidden. She slipped on her shoes. Keep it low-key lately. The police came asking me questions. Got it. You can leave now. This was the first time I'd seen Ji-won's cold expression. It seemed her relationship with Joey wasn't that close after all. I took note of this clue. Joey smirked, reaching out to adjust Ji-won's collar. Leaving now. Wonwon needs to work harder on training him. Joy turned to smile at me, her eyes brimming with determination. Ji-won slapped her hand away crisply. Mind your own business. Get lost. Only then did Joy depart. Ji-won's face darkened like coal as she stepped into the cage with a stormy expression. I closed my eyes briefly. Here it comes. Ji-won's icy palm pressed against my face. Brother still wants to escape? Aewon has been so accommodating already. How could brother do this? Aewon is hurt. Open your eyes. Her voice abruptly sharpened. I remained unresponsive. Does brother think this will stop Aewon? Wrongdoings demand punishment. Suddenly, her lips sealed over mine. My eyes flew open. Ji-won's tongue attempted to push something through. I clenched my teeth shut. A sudden pain pierced through my abdomen. Ji-won punched me, swallowing my startled cry as she forced something into my mouth and made me swallow it. It was that drug. As Ji-won withdrew, I glared at her with reddened eyes and called her despicable. She patted my cheek. But soon it'll be brother begging me. The drug took effect. I felt throbbing pain in a certain area, stubbornly refusing to make a sound. Leaning against the cage, I tightly closed my eyes. My consciousness grew increasingly hazy. My body felt like it was burning up. After being captured, I hadn't left this cage. It was like returning to the days before liberation overnight. The difference was, the villa no longer housed just Ji-won and me. Joey was now included. She loved coming to the villa. Though Ji-won had warned her countless times, it proved useless. Judging by Ji-won's restrained expression, Joey must have some hold over her. Every time Joey visited, she'd rush to me. She always brought strange trinkets. If it weren't that I still remembered her saying the medicine was what she gave Ji-won, I might have believed she would save me. Joy came more and more frequently. Several times she caught Ji-won being intimate with me. I looked at her frozen smile and clenched fists. Perhaps there's still a chance to escape. At month's end, Ji-won left again. I leaned against the cage to rest. Hearing familiar movements, Joy had come. You're here. I opened my eyes, staring blankly at her, with a flicker of hope surfacing in my gaze. What did you bring today? Joy seemed surprised I actually spoke to her. This time I brought a game console for you. Good thing you're here. Otherwise I don't know how I'd endure. Seeing that same face every day. I lowered my head, sensing Joy's slightly quickened breathing. Could I go with you? Even if you keep me locked up like this too. If it's you, it's okay. I reached out my hand to her, putting every ounce of effort into feigning affection. Over these months, I think my condition appeared more like Stockholm Syndrome to Joey and Ji-won. After a moment, my hand was clasped, a kiss landing on the back of it. All right. Seems I've seized my opportunity. Not sure what Joey did. She became the one administering knee injections for me. Her visits grew more frequent, while Ji-won hasn't been seen for days. Joey isn't as harsh as Ji-won. At least she's easier to manipulate. I avoided several injections, even hiding a syringe with medication, gradually gaining sensation in my legs. Just when I thought everything was seamless, Joey leaned against me today, face pressed to my knee, asking, after all these days, why can't you walk yet? I froze, unsure how to react. Noticing this, Joey smiled, hooked her finger in my collar to pull me down, and kissed my eyelid. Don't be nervous. Ji-won doesn't know anything. What are you two doing? Before I could figure out what to say, Ji-won stormed in and slapped Joey to the ground. Joey wiped the blood from his lips and retaliated with a backhanded slap. The two started fighting. When the snipe and clam grapple, the fisherman profits. Joey lay motionless on the floor, while Ji-won turned back panting heavily. I pulled out a needle I'd hidden long ago and plunged it into her neck. She collapsed in agony, her eyes filled with disbelief. She reached out to grab me, but lost strength and fell to the floor. Ji-ling. I coldly avoided her touch, clutching the cage as I cautiously exited the room. My steps transitioned from weak and feeble to firm and strong. I'd finally escaped. I breathed in the air of freedom as the villa behind me was engulfed in flames. Everything was over. Using Ji-won's phone, I called our parents. Soon, ambulances, police cars, and our parents arrived. Watching Song-in rush anxiously out of the car, I actually wanted to cry. Sniffling, I pulled Song-in, who was charging over, into my arms. In, brother. Ailing, I finally found you. I always felt something was off, but couldn't put my finger on it. My parents were beside me, weeping with joyful tears. I was taken to the hospital for checkups, and the police came to ask questions. It was finally confirmed that Joy and Ji-won died in a villa fire. Watching Song-in peeling an apple beside me, I suddenly felt a surreal sensation. Was it really over? Ji-won, did he really die so easily? Perhaps because my gaze was too intense, Song-in looked up. Brother. Ailing, why are you staring at me? Can't wait anymore. She smiled, cutting a slice of apple and bringing it to my lips. I swallowed, watching her continue peeling the remaining fruit. But Song-in had always been left-handed. A thought rose from the depths of my heart. This absurd conjecture. Ji-won, Song-in. Could it be, the Song-in before my eyes is actually Ji-won? The thoughts in my heart seemed to be known by the person before me. She looked up, smiling sweetly. She pressed a piece of apple against my lips. Oh, did Gij notice? Seems Awan holds a unique place in Gij's heart. You recognized me so quickly. I grabbed her neck. In, what did you do to In? That trash. Ji-won showed no hint of panic despite being choked, tilting her head in mock contemplation. Wasn't she burned to death by Gij himself? Scenes from the villa flashed through my mind. The one I burned. The Ji-won in the villa had called my name. Her outstretched hand, those longing eyes. That was my Song-in, burned to death by me in the villa. Seems Gij remembered. Ji-won smiled at me through Song-yin's face. Ji-won, I'll kill you. I choked Ji-won until her eyes rolled back, but she shed her previous arrogance and became pitiful. Ling, let go. My parents and the doctor rushed in. Ji-ling, what are you doing? This is your wife. Let go now. Quick. Sedative. Before losing consciousness, I saw the scene of my mother holding Ji-won in her arms. They said I was mad. They refused to believe Song-in was dead, that the current Song-in was Ji-won. I even proactively reported to police that I caused the villa fire. Useless. Completely useless. Confined in the hospital room, Ji-won became my sole companion. Everything seemed to return to square one. To convince me the person before me was Song-in, my parents arranged daily interactions with Ji-won wearing Song-yin's appearance. Through prolonged contact, I discovered Ji-won wasn't human. She would hold conversations alone, talking about data, mentioning having plenty of time. She tried desperately to make me love her, yet I remained unmoved. As time passed, Ji-won began to grow furious out of humiliation. That day, she forced me step by step into a corner, no longer wearing her smile. Why can't you love me, brother? You liked Song-in, so I became Song-in. But why do you still reject me? Her eyes brimmed with confusion. Don't you like Song-in anymore? Then what about this face? She performed face-changing acts expressionlessly before me. Every face belonged to someone familiar. The class monitor who had a crush on me in junior high, the deskmate I got along with in high school, my first love from university. All of them had mysteriously vanished one day without exception. I watched this horror-stricken spectacle unfold. None of them work? Then what should I do? When the face-changing ended, Ji-won confronted me with a featureless void where her face should be. You're insane. A monster. But this monster was created by you, brother. She reverted to Song-yin's face, tilting her head as she stared at me. If you brought me into being, why can't you love me? I trembled violently, screaming at her to get out. Doctors entered and escorted Ji-won back to confinement. I was taken back to a new villa by Ji-won. A few days later, it seemed Ji-won's actions had been exposed. The police found me and asked about my former classmates who had gone missing, the class monitor and my deskmate. I told them that the current Song-in was the killer and that she wasn't human. No one believed me. Only one person didn't immediately dismiss me and left me a phone number. Since I was considered mentally unstable, nothing I said would be trusted, which ironically made Ji-won feel secure enough to allow me unrestricted internet access. The skeptical police officer was named Yi. I told him the person who died in the villa was the real Song-in. He asked me to obtain strands of hair or other samples from Ji-won for forensic analysis. Getting those items wasn't difficult. Yi conducted the tests. The results were strange. The DNA of the deceased person was peculiar, partially matching Ji-won's. but with a significant portion matchy. Ing Song Yin's. Combined, it more resembled engineered data, but it was sufficient to confirm the dead person was Song Yin. As for Ji-won's DNA, it was even more bizarre. There were the DNA of many people within her body, Song Yin, Ji-won, and those missing individuals. This discovery forced Yi Li to believe my words. Ji-won was not human. Yi Li reacted swiftly, preparing to first take me away from this treacherous place. Just as we reached the doorway, the sound of high heels echoed from beyond. Song Yin appeared on the smart screen beside the door. A disgusting little mouse has appeared. The next second, her heel crushed down unerringly on a rat that had materialized from nowhere, a mix of red and white fluid splattering onto her crimson high heels. Exchanging a glance with Yi Li, we chose to hide immediately. I concealed myself beneath the bed while Yi Li hid inside the wardrobe. Brother, won't you come out to greet Awan? Ji-won's voice reverberated through the villa. Does brother want to play hide and seek? Then Awan is coming. 1 tap, 2 tap, 3 tap. The counting mingled with the rhythm of ascending stairs. Where are you? She had precisely located the room I was hiding in. Is it here? Swish. The curtains were pulled open. No. Then is it here? Ji-won walked toward the bed, plopped down on it, and swung her legs. Her red high heels swayed in front of my eyes. I held my breath, not making a single sound. Not here either. Then it must be. Swish. Ji-won bent over, her head upside down, grinning at me under the bed. Here you are. Don't move. Yi Li's voice rang out simultaneously with Ji-won's. I crawled out from under the bed. Yi Li pressed a gun against Ji-won's head. This guest is quite rude, brother. Don't you agree? Before I could react with joy, Ji-won straightened up in an unnatural posture and kicked Yi Li away. At the same moment, Yi Li pulled the trigger. But to everyone's surprise, Ji-won remained completely unharmed. Run! Yi Li pulled me downstairs swiftly. Just as we were about to open the door, a sudden electric shock numbed my hand. Ji-won descended leisurely from upstairs. There's another pesky rat here. As she lunged toward us, the French windows shattered and dozens of oddly dressed people swarmed in. They subdued Ji-won with a single move, appearing swiftly, then vanishing just as fast. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Yi Li patted my shoulder. It's over. Those were from the Non-Biological Research Institute. Best leave such things to professionals. After that day, I never saw Ji-won again. My parents and everyone around completely forgot her existence, life returning to normal. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that capturing Ji-won had been too easy, unnervingly easy. At lunch today, the door let out a beep. Ji-won reappeared. Big Brother built such an intriguing little world. The surroundings turned hazy, fracturing like broken mirrors. The villa's walls transformed into glass panes, furniture dissolving away. Through the glass, I saw white-coated figures moving outside, recording data like lab technicians. I seemed to be in an observation room. Memories slowly begin to return. I am a technological researcher. The team was preparing an experiment to create a batch of tech humans. Tech humans were designed for the upper class, which can be simply understood as vessels. In 4099, when fertility rates were critically low, the wealthy and powerful refused to die or relinquish power, devising tech humans to achieve immortality. By creating bodies identical to themselves, extracting their consciousness, and transferring it into tech humans to complete resurrection. The experiment had progressed halfway, but then an accident occurred. To ensure the experiment's success in the early stages, researchers injected portions of their own consciousness into the tech humans' brains for observation. But unexpectedly, after developing consciousness, the tech humans believed they were the true masters and shouldn't surrender their bodies. Thus, they launched a surprise attack, killing the very researchers who created them. The tech human I created was Ji-won. On the day the tech humans rebelled, I happened to take Ji-won out for data repairs. My teacher rushed into the repair room and told me to run. I hadn't even finished installing Ji-won's core chip when my teacher pressed the lab's self-destruct button. I was accidentally blown up just like that. Looking at Ji-won before me, she must have been reassembled by other tech humans. Suddenly remembered that human consciousness detected announcement I heard earlier. I roughly understand what these tech humans want to do. They want to replace the researchers who designed them, and the original creators didn't inject their full consciousness into the tech humans they designed. They need to understand their designers, comprehend humanity, then create new tech humans to replace mankind. That's why they're trying to capture researchers' consciousness to extract the data they need. The lab's self-destruct was powerful. Seems I'm the only researcher whose consciousness remains. It seems you've obtained a lot of data. Having figured everything out, I actually felt calmer. I sat on the ground, just staring at Ji-won. According to the existing data analysis, Big Brother should be feeling fear. Why is this different? Wanna know? Come here, and I'll tell you. I looked at the tech personnel observing me outside the glass with a half smile. Ji-won seemed to receive some instruction, nodding T. the outside world before approaching me. The moment she crouched down, I flipped her onto her back, deftly opened the U-slot on her neck. The core chip was indeed missing. After securing the core chip, I released her. Because, get out. Thanks to the core chip, G1 temporarily obeyed me. She disregarded the tech personnel's orders from outside the glass and exited. 1, 2, 3. Bang. The laboratory exploded again. Through scattered limbs, my gaze met G1's severed head. She seemed thoroughly perplexed about how she'd ended up like this. Don't forget, I created you. I smiled while explaining to the writhing body amidst the rubble. The lab self-destruct system has 2 triggers, one with me, one with the professor. I installed the self-destruct system in G1's core chip precisely to prevent the day when tech humans might escape researchers' control. This is also why I never implanted my own consciousness into a tech human's mind. After all, sometimes I can't distinguish whether I'm researching them or they're researching me. Tech humans do have their uses. They actually designed a device to capture human consciousness. Only, I watched the cracks on the glass expanding relentlessly as my body grows increasingly